Hello there, everybody, and hope everybody's been enjoying their summer so far. It is kicking off to be a nice one, and hopefully it stays that way. Been quite a bit of sun with a little bit of rain mixed in between, but that's all right. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the Ford Crown Victoria that I own, obviously, and my 3-year ownership review. So I've actually owned this car now for 3 years and almost 3 months. I got it middle, or was it late April of 2019. So obviously I've now owned this car for more than 3 years, and I figured I would just give a general review on the Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor now that I've owned it for 3 years. And I also previously owned a civilian model Ford Crown Vic for a little over 3 years before this, and before that a Mercury Grand Marquis. So to say I've been driving Panthers for a little while would be an understatement. It's pretty much all I've driven since 2014. So anyways, guys, overall the Ford Crown Vic P71 has been pretty reliable. I've had a few issues with it, like the AC compressor going, and amongst a few other things here and there that I've had to replace. The wheel bearing and wheel bearing hub had to get replaced, both of them, and I think that's because it was in a fender bender at some point, because you can see the paint is a little different from here to here. The paint shade's a little bit different, and also the fenders don't really line up to the hood very well. So I think the car was in a bit of an accident at some point, so that's why that had to happen. But overall, guys, the car has been super reliable. I've actually had to replace less suspension parts and whatnot on this version than I did on my civilian model. Keep in mind, this car right now is just a hair under 100,000 miles for you guys, and sitting at 233 idle hours. So even when the police had it, I don't think it was abused too much. I could be wrong. But yeah, overall, guys, been a reliable car. The interior still held up pretty well. I bought this car with 77,000 miles, so as you can see, the interior is still pretty clean. I got a couple stains in the seat. That actually happened when I tried to clean the seats. They get stained. These seats do not like water too often or other cleaning agents, so I need to find something that'll clean the seats a little bit better. But overall, the car interior has held up very well. It's a very rugged interior, very little to go wrong in here, which is nice. The other thing I had to replace in this car was the blend door actuator. Those of you that have owned many Fords probably know the blend door actuators on these cars are not the best things in the world, which sucks. But anyways, had to replace that. It wasn't too bad. It took me and my friend about an hour and a half to do, which so that wasn't too bad. And I'm trying to think of what else I replaced. Tires are obvious, and rear brakes. So those are just general maintenance items. I don't really consider those reliability issues. The other thing that only thing I'm really worried about reliability wise with the car right now is the intake manifold. I'm sure coming up, being 15 and a half years old and coming up on 100,000 miles, I'm sure that's going to blow up at some point here anytime. But overall, been a reliable car as far as driving it goes. Comfort wise, it's very nice to drive on long drives. I had it driven for 6 hours before, guys. These are still some of the most comfortable cars that you can sit in. However, please take note, road noise on these cars when you're up on the highway can be a little louder, because there's not a whole lot of sound deadening in these, and that also goes for the Mercury Grand Marquis and the Crown Victorias of later models from, say, probably 2006, 2007 and up. They eliminated a lot of sound deadening in the later 2000s of these cars, just to save some money. So it's a comfortable car, but there is a lot of road noise once you start getting up into the higher mile per hour range for the highway. The other thing is too, guys, I'm going to talk about winter driving. These cars overall, they are decent for winter time, because I know many of you live in an area where it snows. These cars are not too bad in the winter. I will say, however, if you're getting a winter tire, make sure you stick to the Bridgestone Blizzaks or the Michelins, or a very good winter tire. I ended up purchasing the Goodyear GW3s, and they have not been that great in the snow. They're not terrible, but I definitely had better experience with the Bridgestone Blizzaks. General Tire Arctic and also the Michelin winter tires are definitely better than these Goodyear ones. So definitely pick a very good rated winter tire for these, and you probably won't have too many issues. Are they going to be as good as a heavier front wheel drive or an all-wheel drive? Heck no, they're going to be better than this thing, generally speaking, but they're not too bad. Trying to think of what else, guys. Miles per gallon, gonna address that now. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how much anybody makes. Getting 18 miles per gallon in 2022, when gas prices here are $8.25 a gallon and probably gonna go up again, is not good. I'm just going to be point blank on that. Even gas at $5, $6 a gallon, getting 18 mile per gallon average is not good. These Crown Victoria Police Interceptors, they get 15 to 16 in the city and about 20 to 21 on the highway. That's your realistic mileage for these guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've gotten 23.5 mile per gallon as my best, I think it was, out of this thing. They are not fuel efficient at all. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, it's a 4,000 pound car, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? They had Dodge Chargers out there, or other vehicles that weigh more than this now, and they got V8s and they get better mileage. Technology has advanced, and in 2022, the fuel economy of these cars is dog water. I'm just going to be blunt about that. So do not buy a Ford Crown Vic for the gas mileage, and I don't think too many people do. As far as the fun to drive factor, these cars are boats, so they stand out. Anybody can see coming from a mile away just because of how they look. I mean, they really are a very unique looking car in today's world. You don't see any huge boats like this. I mean, you still have bigger cars like the Avalon, the Chargers, and anything like that, but there's no big, long boats with huge windows and all that anymore. These are really the last of their breed, being body on frame. The other thing is too, guys, these cars feel so rugged when you're driving it, and I mean that in a good sense. It means you can really take it off-road if you really had to. I wouldn't suggest it, but it feels like you could drive this car through a ditch or over something and you're not going to break anything. They just feel very durable when you're driving it. It's a very good, sturdy feeling. The build quality on these is honestly pretty darn good. It's got to be probably Ford's best vehicle as far as build quality goes that they've ever made. And if you look at all their other cars, you'll probably see why I'm saying that, because most of Ford's cars, as far as sedans and stuff go, they really have not been that great. But the Crown Vic is the one Ford vehicle that has been made that just outlasts the rest, and still does so. Even though it's 15 and a half years old, it's still kicking, guys. These things can go and go and go as long as you keep maintenance on them. They're very durable cars, so that is definitely one thing for that, and I'm sure you all knew that. Things to watch, guys. So if you live in the Salt Belt like I do, and I just started winter driving it this past year, I stored it a couple winters before that, you got to watch for the rust. This is not an original fender. I think this is a cheap aftermarket fender because the other one looks like new. You can see where the rust is all coming up. And as far as also under the rocker panels, guys, you really got to watch there. Mine aren't too terrible yet, but rust is coming. And then obviously down by the dog legs. As far as rear seat room goes and stuff, there's tons of room in there. People that ride in the back, mine is sliding around a little bit from the vinyl seating. They love it. Sitting in the passenger seat is even more comfortable than sitting in the driver's seat. So sometimes I'll let my friends drive just because there's so much room in the passenger seat. It's like sitting on a sofa going down the road. But these cars, like I said, they'll last forever. As long they'll end up rusting out before the engine and stuff goes in them. I knock on wood, I have not had any transmission issues. They are known to be a common issue in the Ford Crown Vic P71s, especially those that have been former law enforcement vehicles, albeit mine was not beat on, thankfully. Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't beat on, because let's be honest, the cops aren't going to drive it nice, even if it was an administrative vehicle. It has not been beat on like a normal patrol car, so if you're getting a normal patrol car, that's something to watch for. But yeah, as far as rust goes, guys, watch the left rear door, the dog legs, rocker panels, and the fenders. Those are the main areas that you're going to want to look for, and the gas tank. But luckily, besides my rocker panels, the entire underbody is in almost perfect condition. This is definitely a very nice example here in Nova Scotia of a Ford Crown Vic compared to most of the other ones that are out there. Would I suggest getting one in 2022? With gas, guys, I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm very 50-50. If you're someone that makes a good chunk of change and 18 miles per gallon doesn't bother you, then go ahead and buy one, because they're a very unique driving experience. You're not going to drive anything else like this. They really are their own breed of vehicle, and you got to drive one to really experience it, see if it's your thing. Some people don't like them at all. Handling on them, it is what it is. They don't handle bad for a huge, long 5.38 meter boat. Mine's even longer than that with the push bar on it, but they really don't handle that bad for what they are. And they give a comfortable ride and just relaxing to drive, in my opinion. So would I suggest one in 2022? It's tough. These cars are now 11 and 12 years old, bare minimum. So they're getting up there, guys. And I'm gonna be honest, most vehicles when they start approaching the age of 20, their reliability just from rubber seals and stuff does start to degrade. Even getting past 15 years old, it does start to degrade. It's just the reality. So it's hard for me with gas prices right now and everything as they are to recommend one as a daily driver. But if gas does not bother you and the age of the vehicle does not bother you, then yes, pick one up. They're still fun to drive and all that stuff. So it's really going to be up to you. Personally, if I had to get another vehicle right now, if the Crown Vic was to go, I would not be buying another Crown Vic just due to the fuel economy and due to the age of the vehicle. They're just getting up there. It's the reality, guys. But that does not mean they're not good vehicles. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. It probably wasn't in depth as some of you were hoping, but it's just kind of little things that I noticed over the few years of driving a P71. Civilian models are still good, albeit you're just not going to get the heavy duty suspension and limited slip and all that, but definitely can't go wrong with one of those either. So see you guys next time for the next Crown Vic video, and hope you all enjoy the summer.